Coming in at number 76 on our 2024 NHL draft rankings, we are going to the Ontario Hockey League. And in a rare circumstance, at the time of this recording, that player is still lacing them up because the London Knights are in the OHL finals, and Sam O'Reilly had a big part in a huge comeback win recently. In a game where they were down 6-2 going into the third period, he scores the game-tying goal with under 3 minutes left. So dare I say that Sam O'Reilly has the clutch gene?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely fair, Ross. As a guy that has limited experience in the OHL, this is his first kind of time in the spotlight, and he's shining. You mentioned his success in the last game, Ross. In 15 total playoff games, he has 5 goals and 7 assists. The London Knights currently have a 3-0 lead on Oshawa right now, so that win was huge. Changing a series from 3-0 instead of 2-1 is so massive, especially London's trying to punch their ticket to the Mem Cup. So they're only 1 game away now, and Sam O'Reilly has a big part to play in that. As in the regular season, in 68 games, he had 20 goals, 36 assists, good for 56 points. And how about a plus 32 plus minus? This guy gets it done on both ends of the ice, Ross.
He certainly does, and he's earned his spot at number 46 on Bob McKenzie's list, where he's talking NHL scouts, whereas Craig Button, as he's projecting him into the future, has him down at 62. I always find it interesting when Bob and Craig are very different with their rankings. Scott Wheeler has him as an honorable mention just outside his top 64, while Elite Prospects had him at number 81, so down low and pushing his average rank down to 63. Sam O'Reilly's a 6'1", 178-pound right shot centerman, born in March, so middle of the road in terms of the age for this draft. But what I like about him is he's in the perfect development spot. We always talk about the London Knights as the crown jewel of the CHL, not even just Ontario, the entire Canadian Hockey League. And outside of certain prospects, I can't think of one off the top of my head, a big rangy defenseman that did a whole lot of nothing. Outside of him, it feels like a lot of players that get drafted out of London, and I'm not talking about, the top 5 picks, the Patty Kanes, the Rick Nashes of the world. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the players who are going to go back, and Matthew Tkachuk, Mitch Marner, like you can go a lot more recent when you're talking about these top end guys. But the other guys, like Oliver Bonk just last year, he goes late first round. Boom, he explodes offensively. Like, they're in such a good place where if you're drafting a guy from the London Knights, Easton Cowan last year, nobody even knew who he was when the Leafs took him at the end of the first round, and now he's a can't miss type prospect. So when you're drafting out of the London Knights, you're going to get a player that's going to have pro habits when they come to the NHL, and you're going to have a guy who's well matured at both ends of the ice. So for me, this is a guy where even if a team took him with an early second round pick, I don't think he can get into the first round, but with a second round pick, I think you're going to see a team have them higher on their list just based on the skill set. First off, a guy who, the points don't lie, where he's almost at a point per game there while putting up good defensive metrics, but he's also a guy who you could see being a third line centerman at the NHL level with like a strong probability. And that's where you have to weigh upside versus probability that they reach that. And that's where I think you're going to find Sam O'Reilly higher, because I don't think he's ever going to be a 50, 60 point guy at the NHL level, but he's going to give you defensive value as well.
Yeah, I agree. Ross, for some reason, the player that popped into my mind doing player comparables, and this is always risky, as you guys know, famously, I've had player comparables come back to bite me, but kind of reminds me of like an Anthony Cirelli type guy, right? Like, he's got the offensive talent, but no one's saying he's like an elite goal scorer or he's going to put up massive points, but also he plays a great defensive game that coaches love. So Sam O'Reilly certainly could fit into that type of mold.
Our quotables here from the NHL Central Scouting, they say Sam O'Reilly has good game habits, is hard to play against, and plays with some bite as well. Very good offensive hockey sense, is hard to contain down low, and he's gaining more confidence offensively, and that's great to see, because as you mentioned, Pilsy, this guy didn't come into the OHL at 16 right out of the draft. He had to earn his spot in the OHL. He played all of last season other than 5 games, but played most of last season with the London Nationals in the Junior A circuit. So he had to earn his spot on this London Knights roster. And I think as the Toronto native gets more and more comfortable, you're going to see him kind of be a guy who's going to come onto people's radars maybe quicker than they would have thought. Our friend Brock Otten with McKean Talk, he helped us out with the mock draft last year, said he really wanted to put him higher, and there's a chance he does at the draft. He's just hesitant because he doesn't love his skating. And if you know how Elite Prospects ranks players, there's no surprise that that corroborates with their low ranking of 81 on him. He definitely needs to work on his skating. But again, if there's an organization in the CHL that I think will be able to turn that skating into at least NHL average, it's the London Knights.
Yeah, Ross, you just took my whole next rant. So well said. I was going to mention all those points.
How many stars?
So I got him at 3 stars here, Ross.
Okay.
I know maybe just another 3-star guy, but the thing is, I feel like this is a guy high floor, low ceiling. I think you know what you're going to get from him, which is good. And I feel like some people misinterpret that as a knock on a player, or saying he's a bust, or he's not going to reach potential. That's not at all what I'm saying. In fact, I'm more putting it as a compliment. Like, his skills are so good and safe and projectable that the lowest that Sam O'Reilly will still be a nice prospect. But I agree with you. I think we're looking at a third line player here that's going to provide a spark of offense, but mostly play a hard defensive game.
Sam O'Reilly comes in at number 76 on our 2024 NHL draft rankings.